I've been trying to revisit and finish up some of the retro games I never could beat as a kid. I've had Ironsword, Wizards of Warriors 2 on my list for some time now. I loved the first Wizards and Warriors, and I remember first learning about its sequel in Nintendo Power. On paper, Ironsword improves on the original in a lot of ways. There's more variety in the levels, with an elemental theme in each domain, like the clouds in the wind area where you can bounce around, or the fire domain's volcano which spouts lava. There's also more of a questing aspect versus gathering gems in the first, as you have to help out an animal king in each stage who then helps you reach the main boss's domain. The objective in Ironsword is to gather the 4 pieces of the titular Ironsword and put them together to climb Icefire Mountain and defeat the elementals and Malkill. But unlike the first game, which I was able to beat as a kid, Ironsword kicked my butt. Even though it more or less shared the same engine with the first game, I wondered why it was so much harder. Looking back now, I think it comes down to 3 things. The first is that the original game had unlimited continues, whereas the second only has 2 continues. Even worse is that once you get to the Earth stage, no matter how many continues you have left, it's game over once you die. The second aspect is what made me fall in love with the original in the first place, and those are the helpful permanent items you get. 2 in particular made a huge difference: the Featherfall, which lets you float down as you fall, and the Potion of Levitation, which lets you levitate in place and jump. It's almost Metroidvania-esque how they upgrade the main character's abilities and improve the user experience. You get magic spells in Ironsword, but without the Featherfall and Potion of Levitation, I felt I was constantly slipping and falling to a point of frustration. The final factor is the throwing dagger or axe, which was my main weapon in the original, as the short reach of the sword made it practically useless. It's the same in Ironsword, but they replaced those items with boss-specific magic, which act as the main projectiles. But since the spells are bound to a meter, it made fighting enemies way more difficult than the first. This meant an overall more challenging experience despite being shorter in length. The last stage of Ironsword in particular is brutal. This was very unlike the first, where Malkill was challenging but still manageable. In Ironsword, the 4 elementals fly in weird orbits around you, and what's even harder is they bounce you around. I can't tell you how many times I got to the end, only to be killed and then see the game over screen. So finally, I decided to tackle Ironsword, and I did some research, specifically the channel You Can Beat Video Games, and realized I needed to use the Silver Fleece spell that makes you invincible. After several long sessions, I finally managed to defeat the elementals with the Ironsword. Age is making me nostalgic, which is why I'm revisiting a lot of these older games. I think there's something really special when you can go back all these years later to tackle something that was so difficult when I was younger. I'm super thrilled I can finally cross Ironsword off my list of unbeaten games. I hope to take on a few more of the games on my unbeaten list in the upcoming year. Thanks for watching as always.